So hello everyone, I'm Robert Matheson. I am the founder. My wife and I founded the NFT Museum of Newberry, South Carolina. And the reason we did that was primarily in an effort to expose people to these blockchain technologies and the tools that are being used to create art in that space, and then also for digital literacy ultimately, to help others benefit from the emerging digital economy. We're a rural town, and that's something that we want to make sure we're not left behind with this movement. So what we're going to do is talk a little bit about the Bitcoin angle of NFTs, right? Because there's a lot of controversy around all of that, and then also ways that you could engage with the space. And then Natasha, I'll let her speak and introduce herself in regard to what she's doing with education and literacy and art.
Hi everyone, my name is Natasha Nova. I'm a tech entrepreneur and co-founder at Gammaio. We're the first NFT gallery space with multi-wallets, multi-chains. Think of it, if you know, like a Wix template webpage or Squarespace. We help artists and collectors to show and present all their NFTs around across all the chains and wallets in one place and customized, like Wix or Squarespace, and easy, which is very important because nothing is easy right now in this space. And I also help young artists and kids in Charleston to create digital art, and we created the first NFT gallery for young artists in Charleston. And it's gonna be on Gammaio soon. Yeah, that's it.
All right, so let's go ahead and start. What are NFTs? Real informally here, like raise your hand if you own an NFT. Nice, it's about half the room. Okay, so of course, non-fungible tokens, they're unique digital assets registered on chain, and it can be any kind of digital file. And what we're talking about today is actual digital art on chain. That innovation, the innovation of NFTs, of course, originated with Bitcoin, because Bitcoin was the world's first distributed blockchain cryptocurrency, the first distributed ledger, which then spurred Ethereum, right? And Ethereum then introduced smart contracts, which allowed for any digital file to be programmed and create, essentially wrapped as a digital asset, and became a uniquely identifiable object on the ledger. So instead of just money being on the ledger, now we have actual assets. So smart contracts is the common term for that. Smart contracts can be programmed to anything you can imagine. This is why it's a little difficult to wrap your head around NFTs, because they talk about NFTs for fractional ownership in real estate, maybe for car titles, all this kind of stuff, but it also applies to creatives and their ability to create a unique asset for their art that then can be traded, bought and sold and traded on the secondary market. That Ethereum innovation of smart contracts on the blockchain led to an explosion of innovation with Tezos, Stacks, Cardano, Binance Smart Chain, Solana, Avalanche, and they're all competing now within this space. So, I chose to discuss Stacks with you all. Is anyone, by raise of hands, are you familiar with Stacks? Okay, so Stacks is a layer 1 blockchain that settles to the Bitcoin network. And so it's one of, if not the only, one of the very few blockchains that you can create NFTs on that is connected in a way to the Bitcoin ecosystem. And so since this is a Bitcoin crowd, you should be aware of it, because you can create art, mint art, which is what they call registering on the blockchain, is commonly referred to as minting. You can do that on the Stacks platform, and then you can trade it around. So stacks.co. The symbol is STX. It's, like I mentioned, a layer 1 blockchain. Uses a unique mining protocol called proof of transfer. Runs in parallel with other blockchains, in this case Bitcoin, and it's used as a reliable medium. The way they like to term it is it's NFTs secured by Bitcoin. And that, of course, supports digital assets and NFTs. So the ways to interact with Stacks, well, the NFT platforms are through the Xverse mobile wallet or the Hyro browser extension. And the largest marketplace for NFTs using Stacks is Gamma.io. And so what you see here is basically like an eBay for NFTs. And you've all probably seen these kind of profile pictures, NFTs like Bored Ape Yacht Club and CryptoPunks. So that was like one of the first use cases for community building within the NFT space. But now a lot of artists are coming out and creating generative art, AI art. We're in that phase. And if I can liken it to something similar would be the rise of social media, when Instagram and Facebook and Tumblr and all these sites they're competing for the the content creators to create work, to create that stickiness of their network. And so that's what you see here. If they can build a community of creatives, the creatives will attract the users, the network effect will accelerate. So next. A few quick stats about the NFT market. There's over 1 billion NFTs have been created, 8 million new NFTs each month, which is staggering, and that's just going to explode because now we're literally, young people have mass access to things like AI for image generation, writing. We can get into that later. Global non-fungible token market is expected to reach 122 billion, 34% annual growth rate. Presents new revenue and marketing opportunities for creatives like myself. So primary sales, secondary sale, royalties that are in perpetuity. So if I sell an NFT to you and then you sell it to someone in the crowd, I get a royalty on that. And not only do I get a royalty one time, I get it in perpetuity for as long as that wallet survives. Commissions, increased access to Web3 financial tools. So you're introducing a whole audience of creatives and collectors to the financial tools of DeFi, to Bitcoin, to other blockchains. So this slide, I just wanted to really quickly touch on the Bitcoin community itself, because we've achieved a lot of growth, but at the same time, I think we're underappreciating the layer 2 possibilities of NFTs in engagement in community building. So I would encourage you all to kind of like dig into NFTs and try to wrap your head around what's going on these other chains, because as much as Bitcoin we all believe in Bitcoin, there are competitors, and just because Bitcoin may be in our minds the gold standard, that doesn't mean it will necessarily win out. And so if Facebook isn't necessarily the best social media network, right? But it's massive and it's big, and because it got the network effect, it bought Instagram, it continues to suck in all of the art and culture. And community is attracted to art and culture. We're in Charleston, one of the most amazing cities in the world. Arts and culture is huge here. People are attracted to that. So we want to see the Bitcoin community developing that art and culture. Social media growth, like I just briefly mentioned this, but the model that the social media networks used to grab the creatives is now being used by the blockchain communities. They're just following that same model. Get the content creators and let's attract the users. And then there's status and cultural identity. There's a lot of talk about identity in this space, and that goes with art and culture. People identify with music, they identify with art, it becomes part of your identity, and that's how Bored Ape Yacht Club becomes a $1 billion franchise. They want to be associated with Bored Apes. That's a status thing. So, next. Real quickly, the NFT Museum of Newberry, I just want to show a quick video about our space so you can get an idea.
So let's go visit and check it out.
go ahead and pause here. But essentially, what we do is we try to bring the digital art into the physical space so that people can relate to what this is, right? And we also have a installation here. If you go to the other side of the hotel, you can come and see it, and it's different NFTs we've collected through the space. So we're documenting, the kind of innovations that the artists are doing. We're adding those to the collection, and then we bring those into the real world to expose people to that art so they can understand kind of what's happening there. Can go to the next one. Or actually, we'll just move to the next slide. I don't want to take too much time. I want to get to Natasha because what she's doing is really fascinating as well. It's okay. We're basically at the end of my slides, but what we want to talk about now are some of the tools that are available for creating NFTs. Let's see. Okay. Well, I'm actually going to hand it to you because we're going to talk about AI. And
Thank you.
come see me again at the art installation, and we can talk more about NFTs and how that might benefit the Bitcoin community, what we can do to create some really interesting content and drive engagement for this next layer of growth. And I'll turn it over to you, Natasha.
Thank you. Thanks, Robert. So, fun fact, does anyone know where the most popular NFT was sold and created? Right, by people. So we are one of the most innovative places in the world. It was sold for $69 million last year in Christie's. And I think personally it's the most exciting time to get creative, to be an artist, to have all those amazing tools, to extend your artwork into the digital space and to prove and to get royalties. And I think now, if you really want to get into the art, we don't have the word starving anymore. It took out the starving out of the artist. It's exciting, and I would love to show you something really cool. It's a new exciting tool. It's blew my mind and everyone else. I'm dreaming about it. It took over my brain. It's an artificial intelligence platform. There's a lot of them. We're going to show you one of them by OpenAI. It's backed by Elon Musk. And we'll just show you a quick video.
Or a robot painted like a Picasso? Didn't think so. DALL-E 2 is a new AI system from OpenAI that can take simple text descriptions like a koala dunking a basketball and turn them into photorealistic images that have never existed before. DALL-E 2 can also realistically edit and retouch photos. Based on a simple natural language description, it can fill in or replace part of an image with AI-generated imagery that blends seamlessly with the original. It's called inpainting. In January 2021, OpenAI introduced DALL-E, a system that could generate images from text, like this avocado armchair. DALL-E 2 takes the technology even further with higher resolution, greater comprehension, and new capabilities, like inpainting. It can even start with an image as an input and create variations with different angles and styles. DALL-E was created by training a neural network on images and their text descriptions. Through deep learning, it not only understands individual objects, like koala bears and motorcycles, but learns from relationships between objects. And when you ask DALL-E for an image of a koala bear riding a motorcycle, it knows how to create that or anything else with a relationship to another object or action. The DALL-E research has three main outcomes. First, it can help people express themselves visually in ways they may not have been able to before. Second, an AI-generated image can tell us a lot about whether the system understands us or is just repeating what it's been taught. Third, DALL-E helps humans understand how AI systems see and understand our world. This is a critical part of developing AI that's useful and safe. The technology is constantly evolving, and DALL-E 2 has limitations. If it's taught with images that are incorrectly labeled, like a plane labeled car, and a user tries to generate a car, DALL-E may create a plane. It's like talking to a person who learned the wrong word for something. DALL-E can also be limited by gaps in its training. If you type baboon and DALL-E has learned what a baboon is through images and accurate labels, it will generate a lot of great baboons. But if you type howler monkey and it hasn't learned what a howler monkey is, DALL-E will give you its best idea of what it thinks it could be, like a howling monkey. What's exciting about the approach used to train DALL-E is that it can take what it learned from a variety of other labeled images and then apply it to a new image. Given a picture of a monkey, DALL-E can infer what it would look like doing something it's never done before, like paying its taxes while wearing a funny hat. DALL-E is an example of how imaginative humans and clever systems can work together to make new things, amplifying our creative potential.
And this is just the beginning. Exciting, right? So what we'll do now, we'll do a little example with the audience. And why don't you give me a few prompts and we'll run it by DALL-E. Let's do, what did we discuss? We'll do person, place.
Abraham Lincoln. As a giraffe.
Go.
In New York City. Or no, in Charleston, South Carolina.
Good, love it.
I played with this before, guys. Prepare to have your mind blown.
In a rickshaw.
In a rickshaw. Perfect. Were either going to break it or it's going to nail it.
I have to say. Amazing.
Oh, it's poking through the rickshaw. That's really creative.
So the more detailed you are with your prompts and the writing, the words, the more accurate your artwork is. And now they added an option of outpainting. You can upload an image and erase certain sections and tell AI what would you like in that section and what style and layers. So the possibilities are endless. And each time you'll get a new image generated. Sorry? Oh, yeah. How about we'll do another one with like an artist, styled by a certain artist. You'll see sometimes we have to say as or styled by. Oh, wow. Amazing. Now you can, what you can do, you can download it as a PNG file. You can print it on canvas. You can paint on top of it. You can create mixed media art. This is basically just the beginning of your creation. Gives you ideas. Another option you can do, because now you own it. There's a new regulation that they just launched that whenever you work with DALL-E, you own the artistic rights. You can create your NFT gallery, NFT collection, your one unique NFT work.
Yeah, and to touch on that, you know, taking these, minting them, for example, onto Gamma.io, you can create your own collections. You could illustrate books. The museum just did that with an author recently who wrote a children's book, and we helped them illustrate it with AI. So I'm sure everyone in here has some amazing stories to tell, right? And now, regardless of your access to arts education or your skill set, your level of skill, you can illustrate those in ways that could never be done before. So we're really literally going in the middle of an artistic renaissance that, fascinatingly enough, I think was triggered by Bitcoin. Did you want to talk a little bit about how people could get involved with what you're doing, or some of the things you're doing with young people?
We are on Daniel Island. We work at the community center of Daniel Island, and we created a program for kids ages 6 to 12, where we expose them to all the digital art tools available right now, and they create their own art. It's in lab format. There's no rules. They run with their imaginations, and then what I do, I help them NFT and tokenize their art. And we created the first NFT gallery for young artists locally.
And I just also wanted to mention the NFT Museum has a digital workstation that's being installed. Paula with the South Carolina Office of Rural Health has helped with Rural Innovation Grant. And so we also have a series of digital murals in South Carolina. They're outdoor murals where we're projecting art onto the buildings in the historic district. So come see us in Newberry. Come and also visit her community group and get involved.
Yeah, bring your kids to our program, and we can actually NFT one of those and send it to
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
attending.
Any questions before we wrap up?
Okay, so as a graphic design major and fine artist, this both blows my mind and terrifies me.
Right.
What are the implications in terms of saying, okay, well, I've got money, and so I can afford this software, and so I'm an artist now, but sort of devaluing the skill set of a painter or a sculptor who's actually physically building the art? Like, any thoughts there?
Absolutely. And I struggled with that a lot, myself getting into it. I immediately rejected this because I'm a painter and photographer. That's like my skill set. And at first, I wanted to just like pretend like it didn't exist. But now I'm realizing there are use cases that allow me to create a lot more and to provide more services as well, because you still have all of that lifetime knowledge and training with arts, right? And so even just looking through these prompts, like you are the artist directing it. You are the original mover of these images. And so as you look through and you dive into other variations and you're getting to places that it's going to be difficult for other people to really compete with that as well. But at the same time, it's here. It's like in our face, and especially graphic design, billboard design, magazines, all that kind of stuff. It's going to cause a lot of disruption. Yeah.
Piggyback on that, the idea is yours. If you know now there's websites that will make AI do a lot of the stuff you're thinking in your head, you're still developing the concept when you type in whatever you're asking it to do. So while the machine might be doing the work, your thoughts are still kind of getting what you're trying to display. So it's kind of like a digital version of what's in your head.
Right, it's visualizing all your thoughts. Like somebody will say, oh, you're so good at textualizing my thoughts, right? I think AI is great at visualizing all your ideas and giving you more ideas and perfecting it with your curation, with your prompts. I think it's a new category. I wouldn't say devaluing existing artists. I think it's a new tool for artists to get paid for their work and to receive those royalties, because before you didn't know who was gonna sell your artwork. You sold it one way and that's it. Now you get royalties.
The caveat with blockchain and NFTs and everything is that she just said that the artist gets full royalties, where before they were losing half of everything they were getting.
Right.
Now they have the ability to bring more income to themselves and getting rid of the middleman.
Yeah, exactly. And if you read about Beeple, his first, one of the first NFTs that he sold, he made much more on the secondary sale as a royalty.
Yeah, go ahead.
You might have mentioned this, but the more detail you get, are there limitations to that? Like I said, the purple draft, or to keep going in more detail, does it help with making it more?
Yeah,
Limitations to how much detail?
good question. Sometimes it's not great with with faces right now, and they trying people not to mention faces or real people. But the more detailed you are, the more detailed the artwork will be. Sometimes it can get too crazy, and you'll adjust it. You'll learn with AI, and AI will learn with you. It's like a teamwork, and it's beautiful.
One more question, and then we'll wrap up. OpenAI
Technical question.
DALI 2, and my understanding is that it's basically competing neural networks. So they go out and get all the meta information. Like when you use a prompt like Van Gogh, there's images all over the internet of Van Gogh's paintings, and they're labeled with that, and so it knows what Van Gogh's style is. And then when we say a giraffe, it knows what a giraffe is, and so it brings in, and they're competing networks, and so they're passing, and they're handing off to each other, and trying to stay as true to a giraffe as well as the Van Gogh style, and then it generates something new. But it's incredible, some of the ability to get lighting correctly and shading and all of this. I mean, and I've been involved for just about a year, and the advancements have blown my mind. It's getting better all the time. So this, in a year or two, I don't think you'll even know.
Oh yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yeah.
Now they're launching video, and you can create a storyboard for your film, and you can pitch your film through that storyboard. You don't need to pay extra money for other creators to create that storyboard, which is exciting and scary at the same time.
Right.
But
I feel like we've overrun, so let's get back to the next presenters. But thank you, Natasha.
thank
you
you.
to
Thank you.
the conference.